And the Texas Land Commissioner is offering President-elect Trump 1,400 acres of state land to be used for deportation facilities. Meanwhile, the Colorado Attorney General is preparing to challenge Trump's mass deportation plan in court. Let's bring in Colorado Attorney General Philip Weiser for more on this. Phil, thank you for coming on. You know, Trump says he plans to declare a national emergency and use the military to enact deportation. So what do you expect that legal battle to look like?
It's hard to know exactly what's coming. We're going to be ready for a range of scenarios. The military has very limited role under law in terms of what type of activities it can conduct. We're going to make sure that we operate by the law. One of the big concerns I have is an idea that is core to who we are as Americans, due process of law. We're worried about citizens. We're worried about people's spouses, grandparents getting swept up in these indiscriminate raids. Here in Colorado, we believe in inclusion. We think about Aurora, which has been singled out as the Ellis Island of the West. We don't want to see the sort of disruption that's being talked about that's going to harm our workers, going to harm our families and our communities.
Now, what's your reaction to Texas offering state land to use for deportation facilities?
Texas can do what Texas wants, and obviously each state has its own sovereignty and decisions. In Colorado, we want to make sure that we honor what is core to America, an ideal of e pluribus unum. For many, we're one. And in Colorado, we do have a lot of people who've come here as immigrants. My family is an immigrant refugee story. My grandparents, my grandmother survived the Holocaust, were liberated by the U.S. Army, came to the United States, a land that welcomed them. That welcoming spirit is how we in Colorado operate. And it's really important that we not mistreat people who are vulnerable. And there are a lot of immigrants now who are scared. The Dreamers come to mind. This is a group of individuals who only know the United States of America as their home. And they're now rightfully concerned about what's going to happen. Our message is the same as it was in the first Trump administration. We've got your back. We went to the U.S. Supreme Court in the first Trump administration to defend the rights of the Dreamers, and we won. We're ready to do it again.
Now, Trump has pointed to Aurora, Colorado, in your state as an area he says is plagued by immigrant crime. He says gang members have overrun the city. The mayor of Aurora says those claims were exaggerated, but officials do say this Venezuelan gang is a problem. So what did happen in Aurora, and should undocumented immigrants be deported if they're convicted of violent crimes?
Under our law, it's very clear. When you commit violent crimes, deportation is a lawful and appropriate action. And anyone who's in a criminal justice system and can be deported, that's a appropriate and a regular step. But we just need to put this into context. The Aurora police chief talked about 10 members of this gang who have been under, again, criminal investigation in the criminal process. That's 10 people. It's important that we take all those claims seriously, we investigate them. But what is being talked about are mass deportations, indiscriminate. It's really important that we honor this idea of due process, which is everyone is going to be treated fairly based on the circumstances of their situation. My fear is they'll use this situation of some criminal activity as a basis to go after so many people that will undermine our community, that will be disruptive, and that will violate people's rights. That's what we're going to stand up against.
So why has getting that criminal activity under control proved so challenging, and would you accept federal help to do that?
We have law enforcement in Colorado that's dedicated and committed to addressing criminal activity, whether it's gangs, violent crime, other crimes. We're going to make sure to use all the resources we can and all the resources we need. That's something we're committed to, keeping people safe. The federal government, in terms of the local U.S. Attorney's Office or the FBI, is already a partner. We believe in that partnership. We're going to continue to do everything we can to make sure that we hold criminals accountable and we keep Coloradans safe.
What other challenges are you anticipating from the incoming administration, and how do you plan to address them?
We do have a number of challenges that we're seeing. Obviously, different groups are concerned. Let me talk about reproductive rights. In Colorado, we passed in our state constitution a commitment to make sure that abortion care is protected so that women don't have to risk their own lives, not getting health care. This is now in our state constitution. We know in Colorado that 2/3 of access to abortion depends on mifepristone, which is a medication that was previously challenged. We defended access to mifepristone at the Supreme Court. We're now going to be concerned about what a new FDA might do, which could undermine access to reproductive freedom. When the Supreme Court and the incoming president says abortion care is left up to the states, we are going to hold them at their word and make sure that we have access to the medication we need. And we're concerned about efforts that could seek to undermine that. That's just one of several basic freedoms that we know is potentially at risk. My commitment as Colorado's Attorney General is to protect reproductive freedom and to make sure that everyone's treated fairly.
That said, the American people voted for President-elect Trump based on his campaign promises, including the one he made over and over again about mass deportations. So why not allow him to enact the policies he was elected to pursue?
The United States of America has a basic constitution that protects everyone who's here. Due process of law, that we treat people fairly, that we don't allow the deportation of U.S. citizens or of people's grandparents who may be in the process of getting citizenship, or the dreamers who have relied on a promise from this nation. This is who we are as Americans. We live under the rule of law. We treat everybody fairly. Any president who seeks to undermine that commitment is going to be taken to court, as happened in the first Trump administration. And in that first Trump administration, when it was the case of the Dreamers, it went to the U.S. Supreme Court. And the effort to undermine the commitment made to the Dreamers failed. And the Trump administration lost that case. The rule of law prevailed. We are ready to do that again.
All right, Colorado Attorney General Philip Weiser, we appreciate your time today, Phil. Thank you.